Hey everybody, Dr. Diamond here. I've taken businesses to the top 4% of small businesses in the United States, and now I help female entrepreneurs do the same. In this video, we're going to talk about business mindset. So this is a common question that comes up with my clients. What do they need to be thinking about? How do they actually train their minds? And one of the first things I want to really start with within the context of this video is this is a new way of thinking, right? I was having lunch with a friend who is a fairly new entrepreneur the other day, and she had basically come to the conclusion that she did not like being an entrepreneur because she realized that when she had a job, 5 o'clock would happen or 5:01 would happen, and she would just be done. And it was very clear, this is when I work, this is when I don't actually have to think about work. So she was really sharing that she appreciated that what that like structured time of that clear delineation between work and the rest of life, that was really healthy for her. So business mindset is different, right? Business mindset really is oriented to doing some things sometimes when we really don't want to do them, when we want to have a break, when we want to be on vacation, when we want to be out with our friends, and especially when we're in a scaling stage with business, our mindset is huge for what is going to motivate us to stay on course to actually get the results. So one of the first things to really start with a business mindset is honesty and transparency, and that I mean within. So when we can be honest and transparent internally, what we are doing is we're starting to ask ourselves questions like, what do we actually want to do with our time? Are we really willing to put what it takes into building something? That means, are we really willing to work sometimes on the weekends, to work in the evenings, to put in long hours? Because oftentimes that's what it really takes as entrepreneurs to get things up off the ground. And so it's a really important conversation to right from the beginning to have with ourselves. And that conversation can bleed into, what are we good at? What are we not good at? What are we okay at? What do we want as far as managing other people? Do we want to manage other people? Do we not? So the more we can actually have honest types of conversations with ourselves and not be internally defensive, also not internally gaslight ourselves, right? We're all humans. We all have good parts. We all have parts that are, say, not as strong of skill sets as other people's, and that's totally normal. So in business, a business mindset is really oriented to having a very, very hard and honest look at ourselves, as well as anybody that we supervise, and really being able to, within ourselves, within the context of any staff, really be able to orient to, oh, this is what I'm not good at. Perhaps this other person is. And when it comes to these honest conversations, that can trickle down into the workplace, because what we're able to do then is we're able to start having conversations with our staff and our team where we're actually trying to figure out where people are, say, performing best. I've had situations several times where I've had employees that were really great and I could tell they're really dedicated, but it just wasn't the right fit as far as what role they were in for the company. And then moving them around to different roles, all of a sudden they start performing better because now they're in a role that better matches their skill set, which could have only happened because I took the time to actually have that honest conversation internally to acknowledge what I was seeing, but then externally with them to actually also acknowledge with what I was seeing. And that's really part of the business mindset. Another part of the business mindset really comes down to state. So it's really, really, really clear to me after so many years of being in business, after 12 years of being an entrepreneur, it's really, really clear to me that where we are creating from, the state we're creating from, actually shows up in our work. So I know that when I do sales calls, if I get on a call and I'm my super bubbly self and I'm full of life, that call is going to go a lot better than if I have had a hard day and I haven't taken the time to change my state. And it comes out in the way I interact with my potential customers. So really making sure that you're taking time to change your state, to make sure that you are starting work as enthusiastic as possible, leaving the worries, the cares, the stressors of the past, of your outside world as much as possible behind you, or if you can, interweave them into your work in a way that's healthy, right? Utilize the energy, utilize the examples. I utilize examples from my personal life all the time in my work, and that's how I take that energy and I fuel it back into the work in the business. But it's really, really important that when we're creating and we're showing up to our work, we're doing so in a pleasure-filled way, in a happy way, these types of things, because that's gonna make it's gonna make a huge difference with how our work comes out to the world. And the final thing that I want to say as far as this is concerned, as far as business mindset, is we need to be willing to do what others are not willing to do. You know, and this goes back to my beginning example that I was talking about as far as my friend is concerned, is because she realized that she wasn't actually willing to put in the extra hours, that juggling so many different hats and wearing this hat and that hat and that hat wasn't enjoyable for her. So as an entrepreneur, you are in a unique role, right? Where you have to do a lot of different things and you have to juggle a lot of hats and you have to learn a lot of different skill sets. And not a lot of people are willing to do that. Not a lot of people are willing to get up at 5 a.m. because that's the only time they have time to work on their business, or stay up till midnight, or put hours on the weekend. And obviously we are typically building a business, so we don't have to do these things long term. But in the initial scaling stage, as well as anytime we have a huge growth push in the company, sometimes this type of effort is really demanded in order to get to the business to the next level. When I leveled up from having 6-figure years to having 6-figure months, there was a huge push that I had to go through. And I had about a 6-month period where I was working basically around the clock, but that was the change I got out of that, right? So we want to be willing to do things that other people are not willing to do. And that's part of the mindset shift that we have. So if you're saying that you don't ever want to get up early or stay up late or work on weekends, entrepreneurship honestly might not be for you. And I'm not saying that we have to do those things forever, but we need to be oftentimes willing to do them in the beginning to really get things up and going, so that then we have the income coming in to hire more people and that sort of thing. So those are the top business mindset things I hope you're thinking about. Again, I'm Dr. Diamond. Please subscribe to this channel. More of these videos to come, and I'll see you in the next one.